We've been very range bound, but it's been choppy in that range. The Sensex is down 44 points or so. Let's now focus on a mid-cap stock which is gaining today, and this is Punch Lloyd. It has come off the highs of the day. It had a big bang start, up 9%. Now it's up about 7% or so. Number of news developments related with this stock. The government has cleared 33 big-ticket defense deals, and one of the proposals was of Punch Lloyd. To talk to us about this, we're joined by Love Chhabra, Director at Punch Lloyd. Mr. Chhabra, thank you so much for speaking with us at NDTV Profit. Now, the proposal that Punch Lloyd had, it was, I think, seeking a license. So, with the most recent development where the government has changed the norms that, there's no requirement for minimum 51% holding by Indian promoter, what is the status now for that license that you were looking for?
So, well, firstly, thank you for inviting me to the show. We have read the news exactly as we've seen in the media today. So far, we have no official communication from the government. We had applied for 3 additional licenses, for defense licenses, for in subsidiaries of Punch Lloyd. Now, we understand from the media reports that these licenses have been granted, but until we get an official communication, we can't confirm that.
Right. So what were these licenses for? Can you give us more details there?
Yeah, I'll give you brief details. We already have 3 licenses which include products like gun, rockets, missile systems. The new licenses are primarily for combat vehicles and armored fighting vehicles, anti-tank and anti-material, and for naval systems.
Right. Mr. Chhabra, can you give us some details as to what kind of investments will you be making in this particular sector?
So, we commissioned a defense manufacturing facility, which is really a precision manufacturing facility with very large bed-sized 5-axis CNC machines. We have invested approximately 150 crores in the first phase in this plant, which is at Malanpur, on the outskirts of Gwalior. Now, there are 2 parts of defense business. The plant is already doing precision machining work for a variety of customers, and some of who are defense PSUs or defense departments, like the Ordnance Factory Board, HAL, various units of HAL. And we've also got trial orders from some of the international defense companies. And I'm not at liberty to disclose the names. I think once the trial orders are successful, we will then get repeated orders from them. So that's one part of the business, which is pure precision machining work. The other part of the business where the licenses are important is where we bid as a prime bidder, either individually or in partnership with a technology provider for big programs. It could be a gun program, it could be a missile program, it could be a land systems program. So the licenses enable us to be able to bid for such large programs as a prime bidder.
Right. If not more details about those particular orders, could you tell us what could be the possible size of those orders that you are expecting and you will be looking forward to in this space?
So, some of the bids that we have made, a typical size of a land system order can range from a couple of 100 crores to 1,000 or a couple of 1,000 crores. So, depending on the number of the requirement of the armed forces. So we have bid for a couple of programs as a prime bidder, but remember that each program takes almost 4 to 5 years to finalize. These are very long gestation programs as prime bidders because it takes 2.5 years or 3 years of no cost, no commitment trials. Then there are DGQA evaluation, and finally the price bids are open. So ultimately the government will buy from a qualified bidder who that gives the lowest price. So our effort in this is always to tie up or try to get technology that is fit for purpose and which is competitive. And we are confident that a significant portion of the manufacturing can be done at a plant. And as we do get the first order and go on to the second and third order, we will obviously increase the size of the facilities and invest more money. And possibly in the next 3 to 5 years, depending on the orders that we get, we could be investing another 100 to 150 crores in the facilities.
Right. Mr. Chhabra, can you tell us that for the 3 licenses that you applied for, what is the pipeline like, the order pipeline?
You know it as well as I do that India is one of the largest importers of defense systems, etc. Now, if I look at the roadmap over the next 5 years, it is massive. I mean, it's hard to give you an exact number, but it will run into a few 50 to 100 thousands of crores of land systems, guns, rockets, missile systems. Now, whether we have capability or the partnership to address the entire size, I can't commit that at the moment. Nevertheless, given the scale of investment, I think we see a pretty healthy pipeline, particularly because of the emphasis of the current government to focus a lot more on Make in India.
Right. And what's your current order book for the defense segment?
So, as I mentioned to you that we have bid, we haven't bagged an order as a prime bidder for a large program. We continue to do machining works, precision machining works for Indian defense PSUs, ordnance factory boards, but that is relatively small. It's of the order of 20, 30, 40 crores a year. And it's growing at about 100% every year. So if it's about 25 to 30 crores this year, it will go to about 60, 80 crores next year.
Right. Mr. Chhabra, is there some proposal pending with FIPB as well?
So, amongst the various licenses we have, most of the licenses that we have applied for are in the subsidiaries of Punj Lloyd, where there is no foreign direct investment. So it doesn't need any FIPB approval. Having said that, there is an earlier license in the name of Punj Lloyd Limited, which still requires FIPB approval. Now, there was really nothing happening in terms of policy, because there was this huge confusion earlier about FDI and FII and what is the total quantum of, and the single largest shareholder requirement of 51%. Now, with the new government having clarified that policy, it's the license under Punj Lloyd Limited is going for an FIPB approval, which I expect will happen towards the 3rd or 4th week of this month.
All right, so we'll touch base with you again once that happens. Lastly, before we let you go, what are your plans, or are the company's plans to pare the debt?
So I think my colleague JP Chalsani has mentioned that a number of times to the media. There are some non-core investments that we have. We will be diluting some of those investments, selling off some of the equipment, and that is work in progress. We are hoping to close both those transactions certainly within the next 2 months. But as I explained earlier, that until the money is in the bank, no transaction is closed. So we remain confident that it will happen within the next 60 days.
All right, Mr. Chhabra, thank you so much for joining us here and talking to us. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Well, we are slipping into a very short break at this point in time, but lots lined up after that as well. Stay with us.